of Cooking with Sheena. Today on the show, I'm going to be showing you how to make some delicious Christmas cookies that my family loves. We call them brown cookies, but they are called gingerbread cookies. They're a soft, chewy, gingery gingerbread cookie, not a snap. That's no good, you don't want to snap. So let's get started. So first, you can do this all by hand, but I'm going to do it in a mixer. So we're going to take 1.5 cups of butter or margarine that's softened or room temperature. So it's just a little soft, and we're just going to get that in. And then we are going to cream that with some white sugar. So we're going to do 2 cups of white sugar. And it sounds like a lot, but this is a big batch. You could definitely make half a batch and still have a good amount. Okay, I'm just going to pop this on the mixer and get it creaming. If you're using a mixer, you're going to want the paddle attachment on KitchenAid if that's what you have. Okay, and this is what your kind of butter-sugar mixture will look like. Kind of a sugary, buttery paste. Okay, and next to that we are going to add 2 eggs. These are large. So we're just kind of mixing our wets first, and then we're going to add our dries. Okay, get that mix. Okay, and then to that we are going to add some molasses. I'm using fancy molasses. I don't really know how it's different from the other molasses. But you need half a cup for this. And what I recommend is taking your measuring cup and you can either spray it with a cooking spray, which I usually do, but I was out, or you can do what I did today, and I just put a little olive oil in there and I just wiped it around paper towel to spread it. And that should help it not stick when you pour it out. So half a cup. And let's see if I can, so you can see how it pours out. We'll see. That works better when you use a cooking spray, but it still works. Like you can just scrape it out with a spoon. It just helps have less wastage and get it all out. But I mean, it did a pretty good job. And we're going to mix that up as well. So ready to start adding our dry ingredients, and I like to add like my spices and leavening agents first before I get into the flour. I suppose you could mix them all together in a bowl, like sift them together and add it that way if you want. I just hate extra dishes, and I'm all about just doing it and getting it done easily. So we'll get started with that. We need 2 teaspoons each of baking soda, and for our spices, ginger, ground cloves, and cinnamon. So I'm going to go ahead and add those in. So 2 baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, teaspoons of cinnamon in, and then I put in 2 teaspoons of ground cloves, and now I'm going to put in the 2 teaspoons of ground ginger. And we're going to mix that. Just a little bit. And the last ingredient for this is flour. I feel like it's a super easy recipe. We've got 1 dirty dish from it thus far, and it's delicious. Like, really, you should try it. They're a great Christmas cookie. Actually, they'd be good all the time, but we just make them at Christmas. Okay, so 4 cups of flour. I'm just gonna add a cup, mix it, add some more, mix it until we get to the end, just so we're not overloading it with flour. And when measuring flour, it is important to use some other kind of scoop to scoop your flour, so that you're not, if you just use your scoop and like shake it, it's gonna pack down and you're gonna have way too much and it's just not gonna work. So, put that in there. I'm gonna start mixing. And I'm gonna measure my next cup. And just keep going like this. And one more cup of flour after this. And you might have to turn your mixer off and use a spoon or a spatula and just clear the paddle off. It is pretty sticky. Do that, and then I'll put in more flour. All of it's in now. I'm just gonna let that mix for like another minute, get all the dry stuff on the bottom mixed in. Okay, so normally at this point you would chill the dough. The recipe says to do it overnight. So that's the beauty of this recipe. You can chill it if you just have time to quickly whip it up. That took like, maybe 6 minutes of real time to mix that up. And then you can wrap it in some saran wrap as just like a log or a ball, throw it in the fridge, and you can deal with it tomorrow. I've left it for a couple days because I've run out of time, so that is the beauty of that. But I'm just gonna roll some now just to show you, and I want to see if it works to do it fresh, and so that if you do have time, you can just do it right away. So I've got a baking sheet and I've lined it with a silicone mat. You can use parchment paper, or you can just grease this, whatever works for you. And then I just have a bowl of some white sugar, just a little bit. So we're gonna make little balls. I think also the dough might just be easier to work with cold as well. So my recipe says to make it into about little 1.5 inch, no, 1 inch balls. They're like little, if you're Canadian, like little Timbit, a donut hole, just whatever size you want. Plop that in the sugar. Get it coated, and we're just gonna put on the baking sheet. So I'm gonna go ahead and just roll a few more. And we're gonna bake these at 375, oh, that one's big. 375 for, we're gonna start with, you don't wanna overbake them. You want them to be chewy and soft. If you overbake them, they're gonna get kind of gross. So like 7 minutes, but I usually set the timer for 5 and check on them because I just don't want to ruin delicious cookies. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this, and I'll bring you back when my pan is full. And pop that in the fridge. All right, here's the pan of cookies. And the oven is at 375 and I am just popping them in. And I will set a timer for 5 minutes. They're not going to be done in 5 minutes, but I like to check on them. All right, here's the 5-minute check. Not done, but actually a lot better than I thought they'd be. So we're just gonna go 1 minute at a time from now. Okay, it's been another minute. Let's have a look. They don't look quite ready to me. I feel like we just need another minute, so let's do that. All right, I'm just gonna take them out and have a closer look. So they're kind of golden on the edges. They just look a bit raw to me still. So I am gonna do just 1 more minute, and this is why I always check. So we're at 7 minutes now. It's gonna take us up to 8. It depends how big you make them as well. The bigger the ball you roll, the more cooking time. All right, last minute. And I think I'm gonna take them out. Some of them are getting kind of dark, and they're starting to crack on top. So now what we do is we let them cool on the stove for a couple minutes to firm up, and then we will transfer them to a cooking sheet rack. All right, it has been a few minutes, and they're set up. They've cooled enough that we're gonna transfer them, and this is what they look like. I know it might seem weird, but they do get flat and they get all cracked on top. And I don't know what happened to my silicone liner. They got all wrinkly, they got all misshapen, so maybe it's a better quality one, or just stick with parchment paper so they'll be perfectly round. See how easy they lift? You can that's when you let them cool. That's what happens. And how easily they come off. So I really recommend lining your pans. It makes everything easier. All right, and there we go. They're just gonna cool here for a while, and unfortunately, I am unable to eat these cookies as I have celiac. I can't eat the flour, but my family will enjoy them, and I'm pretty sure yours will too. So they're gonna be chewy. I know they look thin and crispy, but they will be chewy and delicious. Enjoy, and Merry Christmas.